looking more and more likely that the Trump administration might have a spot for Elon Musk if he gets elected in November. During a recent interview with a Reuters journalist, Trump was asked if he would name Musk to an advisory role or a cabinet position. Let's watch.
Would you consider having Elon Musk have a role in the cabinet, advisory position?
I would. He's very smart. I had a great talk with him the other day. As you know, it went on for 2.5 hours almost, and perhaps you listened, but he's a very smart guy. I certainly would. If he would do it, I certainly would. He's a brilliant guy.
Trump also went on to say this about electric vehicles.
I am a big fan of electric. I'm a big fan of Elon and other people involved in the electric car. I think an electric car is great, but it's somewhat limited because of the cost. The cost is higher because of the availability in terms of the material. They're going to have to be made largely in China. They're going to be made in China, and it's also, it doesn't go far enough. You've got to have something that can go where you don't have to recharge 4 times if you want to take a trip down to Washington, D.C., which we are also going to fix and make safe, by the way.
But would you rescind the EV tax credit if you could?
Well, we're looking at that. That's a big thing. But, tax credits and tax incentives are not generally a very good thing.
Trump added that he was not making any final decisions on it.
Meanwhile, Elon Musk, who endorsed Trump last month, responded to Trump on X, writing, quote, "I am willing to serve." And as a reminder, during their lengthy convo last week, Musk said he'd be happy to serve on a possible government efficiency commission if Trump is elected, to which Trump responded, "I'd love it."
In other EV news, Ford announced today it would pull back on its electric vehicle push. The automaker said it would reduce the amount of money it plans to spend on EVs, delaying the introduction of a new large electric pickup truck until 2027, and scrap an electric sport utility vehicle. Ford's chief financial officer said in a conference call, quote, "The competitive nature of the market is changing globally, and that means these vehicles need to be profitable, and if not, we will pivot and adjust and make these tough decisions." For context, last month, Ford reported that its electric vehicle division had lost $2.5 billion in the first half of the year overall. The company made $3.2 billion. I actually think Donald Trump put it absolutely correct when he said that electric vehicles broadly are a good thing, but they can't be just propped up artificially by tax credits and tax incentives. The industry needs to be able to compete on its own merit, and if it wins out in the market, that's fine. And obviously, there may be a little bit of government investment in terms of getting the charging stations, or at least the permitting requirement, the legal morass of getting through the regulations in order to put up the charging stations, maybe one area where the government could clear out red tape. But broadly speaking, we can't just have, massive subsidies for Tesla, for Musk, for any one specific firm. It's got to, be a technology that can compete on the marketplace, but it's a good technology. So I agreed with what Trump said there entirely. In terms of, Secretary of Commerce Elon Musk or something. I don't know if that's actually a good use of his time. Every time he gets bogged down, I even feel this way about Twitter, despite liking a lot of not all of them, but some of the changes that have occurred. Certainly the transparency he brought to how the previous moderation decisions were made. I'm glad to have him involved, but he's also trying to colonize Mars and build rockets, and that seems like a more important job for the future of humanity than, as much as I would like him, deciding which government wasteful programs to eliminate. That sounds fine to me. I don't know if Elon it's a good use of Elon's time.
Yeah, the Congressional Budget Office already reviews the efficacy and allocation of government dollars, public spending at the federal level. That position already exists. Bernie Sanders is the chair of the Congressional Budget Office, or the chair of the committee, which is what oversees the Congressional Budget Office, which is really responsible for doing all of this work. He can run for Senate if he wants that job and wants to unseat Bernie Sanders. I don't think that's going to happen. The idea that Donald Trump is going to create redundancy when he claims to not like bureaucracy and create this new position for Elon Musk is ridiculous. But for some reason, all the people that are hypercritical of bureaucracy are like, yeah, put Elon Musk in this role. You guys are just creating additional bureaucracy for a position that already exists and is a democratically elected position.
We're going to have a bureaucrat in charge of eliminating bureaucracy. This is like the old joke from, from the webcomic XKCD. Problem, there are 18 standards. So let's just create one new universal standard. New problem, there are 19 standards.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's interesting to see Ford's progress here, right? Because the Department of Energy was allocating, government money to whatever, electric car manufacturer. A lot of, manufacturers were in the testing stage at this point in history. And Elon Musk lied about how far along they were in the loan, first of all, in production. He also lied about the kind of capital they had backing them. Getting the loan from Daimler, he said, I'm already set up to get this loan from the Department of Energy. Then on the Department of Energy loan he was applying for that he did not have yet, he said, I have this financial commitment from Daimler. And then he got the $465 million loan from the government. Ford seemingly is making faster progress with their production. If they had waited a little bit longer to take that government money, it may have been better allocated to someone like Ford, who can make cars that go for longer and don't need to be charged 4 times to go on a trip across the country to Washington, D.C. or what have you. And so Elon Musk is responsible for government funds potentially being used in a more inefficient manner, and so he shouldn't be appointed to that position.
That's fair enough.
A bone to pick with that guy.
I don't want the government. I don't want these funds allocated to Tesla or to Ford. Again, I think they have to compete on their own. Sometimes I feel like the government is trying to sell us electric cars. I don't know. Every time they get on TV, Secretary Mayor Pete sounds like a salesman for electric cars. Other Democratic former political officials have also been pitching them. I'm like, okay, that's not your job to be a spokesperson for this technology or this company. But if if there are regulations that are making it harder to innovate in this sector, let's maybe relax some of those without redirecting vast taxpayer resources to specific firms, whether it be Ford or whether it be Tesla.
Yeah, I think that, it's a part of an effort to reduce carbon emissions so that we don't have the planet overheat and then we have disasters we can't control and the planet becomes uninhabitable. But I have seen that actually cows are the #1 contributor, they believe, to carbon emissions. Mm-hmm. And many people think, like Tucker Carlson, that they're taking away burgers, we're not allowed to have hamburgers anymore. Mm-hmm. Seth Watkins, a farmer in southwestern Iowa, who I met many years ago, is farming beef in a carbon neutral way because of how he manages his farm and the landscaping of it. So it's possible for us to change how we do things. A big problem is that agriculture's been taken over by corporations, and there's just so many people contributing to us doing things in a backwards manner at many stages in our economy, and a government that's unwilling to speak to any of those issues.
Again, innovation is the key. When they make the fake burgers taste as good as the real burgers, then people will want to eat the fake burgers, and that's all fine. I don't mind. I think they taste just fine. Although I like flavorless, dull foods in general, so I'm perfectly fine. I just throw ketchup and mustard on that anyway. I can't even tell the difference. Fine by me. More Rising right after this.